For weeks, fans only knew part of the story: a public procession, a church service, then a quiet fade to privacy. Now one final detail has surfaced, confirming exactly where Bonnie Tyler will finally be laid to rest. And it's the one place that always mattered most to her. Bonnie Tyler, born Gaynor Hopkins and known to the world through hits like Total Eclipse of the Heart and Holding Out for a Hero, died on July 8th at a hospital in Portugal at the age of 75. Her family confirmed her cause of death was linked to complications following emergency intestinal surgery, a battle that had kept her hospitalized for months before she ultimately passed away. Her illness had followed a genuinely hopeful stretch beforehand. After her emergency surgery in Portugal back in May, doctors placed her in a medically induced coma to help her recover. By June, her family shared encouraging news that she had woken up, though she remained in intensive care and was still described as very unwell, prompting the cancellation of her planned summer shows. Despite that brief window of hope, her body was ultimately unable to overcome the illness, and she passed away in the same Portuguese hospital where she'd spent much of her final months. Tributes flooded in from across the entertainment world almost immediately, including from Catherine Zeta-Jones, Rod Stewart, Bryan Adams, Cliff Richard, and Johnny Knoxville, alongside countless fans who grew up singing her songs. A notice released on behalf of her family, published under her married name Gaynor Sullivan, remembered her as a warm, generous artist whose music touched generations, and whose legacy continues to live on in the songs that made her a legend. Now, her full funeral arrangements have been made public, and they tell a story in two very distinct parts. On Saturday, August 15th, her coffin will return to her home in Mumbles, Wales, with fans invited to line Newton Road starting at 3:15 in the afternoon as the procession passes through. 2 days later, on Monday, August 17th, a public celebration of life will be held at Swansea Minster, St. Mary's Church, at noon, giving fans one final chance to gather in her honor, with outdoor screens set up for those unable to fit inside the church itself. But here's the update that finally completes the picture. After the Swansea service concludes, the procession will travel through Skewen, the small village in Port Talbot where Bonnie was actually born and raised, passing through at around 1:20 that afternoon. From there she will be taken to private family service of committal and farewell, and it has now been confirmed that she will be laid to rest at Coed Frank Cemetery, right there in Skewen, the very town she always called home, no matter how far her career eventually took her. It's a detail that feels deeply fitting once you understand where she actually came from. Bonnie was born in a 4-bedroom council house in Skewen, one of 6 children raised by a coal miner father and a homemaker mother, with very little money but a house constantly filled with music thanks to her older siblings. She went from performing in small local clubs to becoming one of the most recognizable voices in music history, eventually scoring her breakthrough with 1983's Total Eclipse of the Heart, a song that spent 4 consecutive weeks at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and turned her into a genuine global icon. She performed for massive audiences all over the world, including 3 separate shows at the Kremlin in Russia, yet she remained deeply connected to her Welsh roots throughout her entire life and career. Her family has asked that instead of flowers, anyone wishing to honor her memory consider donating to 2 charities she supported for years as patron: Noah's Ark Children's Hospital for Wales and Cerebral Palsy Cymru. In the end, Bonnie Tyler's story is closing exactly where it began. She spent decades filling arenas and topping charts across the globe, but when it finally came time to rest, her family chose to bring her home to Skewen, the small Welsh village that shaped her voice long before the rest of the world ever got to hear it.